Good evening. The government continues to seek advice on whether to bring in corporate manslaughter. Justice Minister Amy Adams has floated the idea as the government continues to consider reforms of health and safety laws. Corporate manslaughter has been under consideration following the collapse of the CTV building. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
Trade unions are backing the Justice Minister's call to include corporate manslaughter provisions in a new workplace safety law. Although the Engineering, Printing and Manufacturing Union says corporate manslaughter is vital to ensure justice is done, they say it's far more important that workers can stay safe, healthy and alive in the workplace.
The manslaughter laws, I think, is necessary for this country so that the people who invest, the people who run these companies have a level of accountability appropriate for their behaviours. But if that is in any way going to trade off work at the workplace health and safety rules and regulations, then that's not acceptable to us.
Jed hopes that New Zealand will follow other countries.
It would be hugely difficult, but there is a corporate manslaughter legislation or charge in Britain. Now, it has had its problems by the sound of things, but it's there, and I imagine it will be refined. So, you know, there is a precedent in the Westminster system.
The news comes just after charges laid against former Pike River boss Peter Whittle, alleging he failed to ensure workers' safety at the mine, were dismissed. Jed says the reason is because there are so few regulations in New Zealand, allowing Whittle to get away with it.
While he knew what best practice in mining was, because he worked for 30 years in Australia, New Zealand laws didn't require him to do all that stuff, and that's how he got away with it. So it wouldn't have helped in that situation. But, you know, in the future, any civilised society should have laws that prevent or stop senior managers in workplaces putting their workers in peril.
But would the proposed legislation have helped the 3 men who died at Lyttelton Port over 2013 and 2014? The port pled guilty to charges brought by WorkSafe this month for the death of Brad Fletcher, who died when a scissor lift collapsed last year. Under WorkSafe legislation, the port stands to be charged a maximum of $250,000.
The difficulty with Whittle is that I think he's morally guilty because he worked in a highly regulated environment for 30 years. He knew what best practice was. New Zealand doesn't have laws, or hasn't had laws, that insist on best practice health and safety.
The 6-storey CTV building took just 20 seconds to collapse in the Canterbury earthquakes, and the death toll was 115, 2/3 of the fatalities citywide.
I'm pleased and relieved, and it's, you know, we've been working on this for quite some time in a group. We meet so many times a year, and we have been pushing for justice and accountability. They pass all these other laws. I don't know why it wasn't in place before.
And she's confident that the new law will make a difference.
It's going to save lives, hopefully, and it will make companies more accountable, and you know, be more health and safety driven, I hope.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.